Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends on Friday, December 3rd. I want to introduce you to Mickey Habner. Mickey, of course, you know, is an end-of-life doula that talked about preparing for the inevitable with all of us. But today it's a little different. You are going to share a Christmas story with us, right?
Yes.
All right, does this have a name?
It's called The Christmas Boy.
Okay, so here's Mickey Habner with The Christmas Boy.
They always called him the Christmas Boy. It wasn't just that he was born on Christmas Eve or that his adoptive parents picked him up on Christmas Day. There was much more than that. Will loved everything about Christmas. Charlie Brown, Rudolph, the lights, the food, the candles, church on Christmas Eve, and the music. Of course, the music. Who wouldn't love Christmas music if you had a voice like Will's? From the children's choir to honor choir and church choir, Will's pure voice had been featured in almost every local Christmas pageant since he was 5 years old. Will loved everything that hinted of Christmas. He could hardly wait for the last bite of pumpkin pie on Thanksgiving to start putting up Christmas decorations. Being an only and adopted child, Will's parents went along with him with anything that brought him joy. They supported his love of music and his love of Christmas. They encouraged him through grammar school and college. They rejoiced when he found Jean, the love of his life, and got married. And they were happy, as Will was, to welcome a baby girl into the family. They named her Carol, like Christmas Carol, and she had a voice as beautiful as Will's. Of course, Will passed his love of Christmas on to her. Every year, the afternoon of Thanksgiving was the beginning of another joyful Christmas season. Early in the year that Carol turned 16, Will was diagnosed with a terminal illness. He likely wouldn't make it to Christmas. He spent his last summer teaching Carol how to drive a car, and then he let her drive his car and take him wherever he needed to be. They treasured every moment together. Of course, the family grew closer in support of Will. Will passed peacefully in late September. His small family grieved and grieved and grieved. Life would never be the same. Thanksgiving certainly wouldn't be the same without Will. Would they even have Thanksgiving? Could they ever sing carols again? Would Christmas be canceled without Will? Of course they had Thanksgiving. They still ate turkey and cornbread dressing and cranberry relish and sweet potato casserole and pumpkin pie. They even lit a big new candle before the meal in honor of Will, the Christmas boy. But there was not much joy. After the meal and the dishes were cleared and loaded into the dishwasher, Carol shouted in a voice that they hadn't heard for a while, "Let's go somewhere." Her mom and grandparents were less enthusiastic than Carol, but they agreed a change of scenery might be good for all of them. They got their coats and gloves. "Follow me," Carol said as she walked to Will's old car. Carol's mom and grandparents got into Jean's car. Carol pulled away from the house slowly and picked up speed as she left the subdivision. She led them around their side of town, and then she headed north for the cemetery. Soon they arrived there. Carol drove through the narrow, winding road to the section where Will's body had been laid to rest. She stopped the car. Her mom stopped close behind. They all piled out, and Carol opened the trunk of Will's car. It was full, a small Christmas tree and a box full of decorations. "Here, take these," Carol said as she handed the box to her mother. They headed toward Will's grave. Carol set up the tree and anchored it to the newly engraved headstone. The four of them added brightly colored bulbs and garland, pine cones smeared with peanut butter for the birds. And finally, Carol handed her grandmother a shiny star for the top of the tree. As grandmother set the star in place, in a pure voice reminiscent of her daddy, Carol began to sing, "O come all ye faithful," and all the family joined in.
That was an absolutely beautiful story. Was that a true story?
Yes, it was a true story. I experienced it with a family when I was working in hospice.
All right. Thank you for sharing it with us. And you handed me a piece of paper before we started, and you said, I might want to read this. The reality is you will grieve forever. You will not get over the loss of a loved one. You will learn to live with it. You will heal and you will rebuild yourself around the loss you suffered. You will be whole, but you will never be the same. Nor should you be the same. Nor should you want to. And this was by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. And, this is a difficult time of year for people who have lost someone that is very close to them, that they love, they've lived with for all their life. But as this little saying goes, yes, we will get over it, but we never forget it. And they're always with us. Yes. As long as you believe that spirit and soul is still alive, they're always with us. And part of life is dying, and you know that as an end-of-life doula.
Yeah.
What do you say, we've got about 20, 30 seconds, what do you say to somebody who's experiencing a loss right now?
The reason I told this story was I was thinking people are afraid to change traditions sometimes after a death. And it's okay to change traditions a little bit until you're at a place you're comfortable.
Right, and you start a new one.
Yes.
One tradition I have is I set a plate on the table, the Christmas table, for my mother and father every year. They're both gone, but there's a plate for them. All right?
Wonderful.
If you want more information, Doula Mickey at socket.net for End of Life Doula. Thank you so much for coming by, Mickey.
You're welcome.
And if there's something you'd like to hear or see, I'd love to hear from you. pepperp@missouri.edu. Have yourself a nice day. Bye-bye.